on daily fantasy football. Look no further.
Patriots win the Super Bowl.
The stats have been compiled. The research is done. So come on and win a mill with D-Will.
Yo, it's Win a Mill with D-Will, and I am your boy D-Will. Very excited about week 2 of NFL football. I just want to let you know, I got to let you know this. I won money last week. Now, if you used my pick, I had somebody call me up. Well, they didn't call me up. They DM'd me, and they said, D-Will, I used your picks. I didn't win but $15. That just means you didn't play the game the way I did. So I'm going to start off this segment by letting you know that you can actually win more money sometimes playing in smaller groups than you can trying to win the big dollars. I think that's what a lot of people's mistakes are. They go after the $100,000 prizes and things like that. And sometimes, even though you scored 150 points in the game, that wasn't enough to win the big $1 million or $100,000 prizes. But 150 points probably would whoop a number of people $40, $50 at a time, and that's how I made my money last week. I was able to effectively win every game that I played against individuals and all of my smaller groups, although I did only win, I believe, $1.50 in the bigger polls. But it's okay. We're coming back this week. We're going to do a little bit better. And just like always, we're going to start with quarterbacks. Now, last week, I was very, very, very much so against picking Aaron Rodgers. This week's not so much. I'm really not that against him this week. Last week, I had a lot of reasons why. It was based upon the teams that they were actually playing and things like that. And this week, I don't really have those same problems. I do believe that Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback that you can actually pick this week. I believe he's going to have points. I don't believe that Tom Brady is going to have another horrible week. He may be another decent pick because you got to imagine he's going to come back with the vengeance. I don't really see him having another game where he doesn't throw a touchdown. Matter of fact, I don't know if we'll have another game like that all year long. Tom Brady was at the bottom of the bottom this past week. I don't expect him to be there again. I'm not a big Tom Brady fan. I'm not exactly saying that, hey, there's somebody that you should pick every week. Matter of fact, if I had to pick between the two, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, this week, I probably would still pick Aaron Rodgers just because I'm a bigger Aaron Rodgers fan than I am a Tom Brady fan. However, there were some picks that I wanted to pick last week that I could not pick because I just was spending too much money in other positions. So if that is a problem that you had, I know a lot of people have, especially beginners with DraftKings and FanDuel. You get to picking players that you want, and by the time you get down to defense or kickers, you realize, hey, I can't exactly pick Antonio Brown or some of the other players that I really, really wanted because I just don't have the money. So then you start looking for other players that you can actually sub in. So I'm going to give you one right here up front in the quarterback position, Alex Smith. I know what you're saying. That could have been a fluke. It could have been, but Kansas City appears to be on a roll. I believe that for the price that Alex Smith is going for, that he may be the steal of the week. That's just the way that I feel. I feel like he is the steal of the week because he's going to probably get you as many points as any of the big players. I just believe that he will. I think that he's going to get you a good amount of points, even in the 20s and 30s again. And I have a lot of people telling me, hey, look, he's not going to have another game like that. It's impossible for him to have another game like that. That's a good way to think. I just disagree. I don't think that he's going to be able to take that big of a drop this very first time. I don't know. I just don't believe it. I think he's going to be able to stay with where he is. So if you are a player that is trying to pick someone a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Cheaper. That's the only word I can give you. Then Alex Smith would probably be that position. Matter of fact, yep, that's how I'm going to pick. I'm clicking on it right now. I'm going to actually take Alex Smith as my quarterback for DraftKings. Again, I'm on DraftKings right now trying to figure out exactly what I want to do, and I'm pretty positive at this point that Alex Smith, just after looking through everything, that's going to be the quarterback that I pick for the very first time. Let's go with Alex Smith. How much is Alex Smith real quick? Let me just find that for you. Yes, definitely taking Alex Smith. That is the pick. Aaron Rodgers is number 4. He's only $7,400. But it doesn't appear that for $5,700, it's got to be the pick. And they're paying Philadelphia. I don't really have a problem with Philadelphia's defense. I just saw what Alex Smith and his team was able to do to the New England Patriots, and I feel like they'll be able to do very similar thing against the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're going to go with Alex Smith. That's going to be our first choice as far as picking a position today. Now, on to the running back position. Can I just tell you something that this week I hate the running back positions? You really can't go wrong with Bell or Ezekiel Elliott. Le'Veon Bell and Ezekiel Elliott, they're going to definitely be able to get the points that you expect out of them. I expect for them to be able to get touches. I don't like the fact that Le'Veon Bell is $9,800. I believe that's a lot of money. So if I had to pick between the two, even though, I don't know, I'm just telling you right now, if I had to pick between the two, I think Ezekiel Elliott is probably the best way to go. I know a lot of people also talked about LaShawn McCoy. I spoke about LaShawn McCoy last week. He actually scored a lot of points from me. I'm not really sure that Kareem Hunt is going to get another 49-point game. I thought it was great that he got it this last time. I do, however, believe that he's going to be able to score you some points. He's going to get the touches at $6,800 on DraftKings. He's starting to move up a little bit as far as not being such a great steal, but $6,800 is still a good catch, especially if he only does half. If he doesn't do 50 points like he did almost last week, even if he does 25, he's better than most of the other points that you can take. So at $6,800, Kareem Hunt is as good of a pick as the Todd Gurley pick that I gave you last week. Now, I'm just going to warn you about Todd Gurley. Yes, I picked him last week. I did expect for him to do well, and he did do well. He scored 20 points. When you look at a $6,800 back, which is your number 2 back, getting 20 points out of him is great at any time. So I do agree, again, that he's a good pick. However, I am a little cautious when it comes to Todd Gurley. If you really just look at his yards per carry, let me see if I can actually get this. Even last game, he had 19 attempts. He only had 40 yards. You're only talking 2.1 yards per game. And even when you go back to the 2016 season, he's really a 2 yards per carry style back. And I really can't just put a whole lot of worth into someone who is a 2 yards per carry back. So with that being said, if you're looking for a number 2 back, I do still feel like, although I picked Todd Gurley last week and you were able to get points if you did select him, I'm not really sure if he's going to be the number 2 back this week. I will say this, DeMarcus Murray, I tried him. He didn't work out for me. I wasn't really excited about him. Ezekiel Elliott, like I said, he scored a lot of points. Todd Gurley scored a lot of points, and those are the teams that I had, those 2 players. Those are the ones that I actually won my money on. This week, I'm going to continue with Ezekiel Elliott, even though he's playing Denver. Now, everybody's going to tell you, stay away from Ezek because he's playing Denver. I just disagree. I don't believe that that's a situation that you're going to have to stay away from. I still feel like he's going to get over 100 yards. I still feel like he's going to score a touchdown. He's still going to be between right around the 20 points. And just to be honest with you, if you can get 40 points out of your running backs, you're not doing so bad. And you still have an opportunity if you selected Kareem Hunt to where you may even get 30 points out of one of those 2 backs and you didn't overspend with the money. So Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, those are going to be the picks that I take here, right here on Win a Mill with D. Will. And we're going to move now into our wide receiver positions. You know what? No, I'm not going to go into my wide receiver position because this is what I did last week. This is what kind of caused me to have to move away from some of the other players that I wanted to actually pick. So I'm actually going to go to defense. I'm going to go to defense because I know I can get defenses for a little bit cheaper, and that's going to allow me to really be able to afford the players that I really want. So we're going to look right here, and the number 1 defense is the Cardinals. Unfortunately, that's exactly who I would pick this week. And now I have really good reasons for picking the Cardinals. It was actually the same reason that I told you to pick the Rams last week. They're playing Indianapolis. Indianapolis does not have Andrew Luck this week, and they're not going to be able to move the ball. Anytime you have an offense, they cannot move the ball. You end up with a defense that ends up giving up points. And as long as this offense can't move the ball, they're going to start to get discouraged. They're going to throw interceptions because the other team is putting up points. And so that defense ends up scoring a lot of points. And I really do believe that that is the reason that the Arizona Cardinals, who only scored 8 points last week, actually are the number one team this week at $4,100. Now, if you want to save about $100, the Seahawks defense against San Francisco is actually a pretty good defense to choose. They only scored 7 points last week. I did choose the Baltimore Ravens last week in one of my games. They did really well, and like I mentioned before, the Rams. Was it the Rams? Yes, it was. It was the Rams. They scored 28 points. This week, just under the circumstances, looking at the Cardinals and knowing that I need to save a little bit of money, I think I'm going to go with the Ravens. Baltimore Ravens defense, they're playing Cleveland. I'm just not sold on Cleveland scoring a whole bunch of points yet, although they're a little bit better. I actually are going to talk about some of the Cleveland the Cleveland Browns players a little bit later because there are some good picks on their offense, especially at a lower amount, that's going to score you some points. However, I do believe that the defense to go with this particular week is going to be the Baltimore Ravens defense. Big shout outs though to Jacksonville. I just want to be able to throw that out there. The Jacksonville Jaguars defense last week actually was able to put up 28 points. If you remember, if you're one of the people who followed me last year, I was really big on the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. I told you that they were getting ready to come along. I was probably 1 year early because they're really starting to turn everything around now. But I'm not really ready to just select them against Tennessee quite yet. I know Tennessee has some firepower. They're going to be able to score some points. So we're definitely going to stick with the Baltimore Ravens defense. And because they're at $3,700, that's definitely going to open up some cap room for me when it's time to pick other players. Okay, so moving on in the spirit of looking for some cheaper players, trying to find a good steal, I'm actually going to move to my flex or my bonus player of the week. And this is somebody I actually chose last week. I didn't talk about him on the radio, but I actually chose him in one of my big money games, and that's Corey Coleman. Now, this boy is bad. Let me just tell you right now, the boy is bad. Corey Coleman is a bad man. I've been following him. They're playing Baltimore. Cleveland, they don't have a whole lot of weapons. I mean, I take that back. They do have a lot of weapons, but they're definitely going to Corey Coleman. That's just it. Corey Coleman is going to get the touches. Corey Coleman is only $4,700. $4,700. $4,700. He scored 16 points. 16.3 points last week, and for $4,700, a player that can pick up 16 points for that cheap, I mean, you got to have him on your team somewhere. That's just somewhere to look to, somewhere that you really have to pick. So my flex or my bonus player for this week is going to continue to be Corey Coleman again, because I believe that he's going to be able to put points on the board, and he's not really costing us a whole lot of money. But if you don't believe me, then you can try to find another player. But Corey Coleman is definitely a great player to pick for your flex position. All right, so let's move on to the tight end position. And just to be honest with you, tight ends to me are pretty much all middle of the road. There's nobody that I really think is just going to jump out at you. I mean, the Zach Ertz, Gronkowski obviously is a great choice, but he's also, for tight ends, I'm not going to say that he's just a really high person, because the tight ends as a whole aren't really that expensive. I mean, when you look at the top one, which is Gronkowski, he's still only $6,900. I just feel like if you want some of the higher place positions, that the tight end position is the perfect place to actually go in and get those dollars down. So I'm going to go for, because I am Cowboys Nation, Jason Witten. Why Jason Witten? Because Jason Witten only costs $3,400. And we do know one thing about the Dallas Cowboys and their quarterback, Dak Prescott. He isn't one to just force balls. I'm not saying that he won't throw any interceptions, but he loves to check down. And when he checks down to either his running back or more frequently his tight end, which is Jason Witten. Jason Witten often gets put in situations where he's one-on-one with cornerbacks who are too small. His hands are too good. He's not exactly all that fast, but he can go in and he's getting crucial first downs for them. I do believe that in the red zone, you're going to see a situation where Jason Witten ends up somehow wide freaking open, and he's going to end up scoring touchdowns for them this week. For some reason, Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant just have not been able to hook up. All of last year, none of this year have we really seen just that chemistry that Bryant had with Tony Romo prior, putting the ball in the right place and letting Dez Bryant just go up and get it. Just hasn't been the strength of Dak Prescott to this point. But what he does do and does do well is find his tight end wide open. So this week, for tight ends, I am going to pick Jason Witten. So, wide receivers. Now, I said I was going to go to wide receivers earlier. I'm just now getting to that wide receiver point. And I'm going to shock you because I know that I said before that I wanted to try to go with Antonio Brown, but I'm not going to be able to do it. It's really more financially than anything else. I probably will go back and pick a couple because I always end up with multiple teams. And when I go back, I'll probably find a way to get him on one of my teams. But in an effort of being able to pick some people who are going to be cost effective, we talked about Corey Coleman. You know, some people may decide if you have another player that they want to select Corey Coleman as their third wide receiver. I mean, for the cost that he is, I don't really see a reason why Corey Coleman could not be your third wide receiver. Another good one is Travis Benjamin. I mean, Travis Benjamin doesn't really get a lot of, people don't talk about him a lot. He had a quiet 13 points last week where Corey Coleman actually got 16 points, but Travis Benjamin is only $3,500. And again, anytime you can get a double digits with a player that's $3,000, $3,500, I always feel like it's a great pick because you're going to have players like that on the roster. You got to look at being able to still be able to get points out of your smaller cost players, and which players are those that are going to score the points. That's the reason why I like Corey Coleman. That's the reason why I like Travis Benjamin. My number one wide receiver for this particular one, like I said, Antonio, I'm going to come back to you on another team. But for this one, I'm going to actually pick Jordy Nelson. And that should make my man Daniel Mays out in Atlanta very, very, very excited because he's been trying to get me on this Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson kick. I am going to pick Jordy Nelson this time. I did well with Amari Cooper last week, and I do believe that Amari Cooper or Crabtree, either one of those guys are really good picks for your team this week. I mean, because they could go back and forth. I really do feel like they're going to go back and forth. Crabtree is only $7,100, where Amari Cooper is $8,100. So it may behoove you to take a Michael Crabtree this week and get those 14 points out of him for the $7,100 rather than trying to spend more money on another player. I really did well. I was actually very, very, very proud of Larry Fitzgerald from Arizona. I did use him in one of my money games last week, and I believe he did well. I mean, I'm looking at his stats right now. He was targeted 13 times. He caught 6 of them. He got 74 yards, no touchdowns. But I think that Fitzgerald, if they continue to give him targets, that he's going to eventually score a touchdown. A very talented player, and I don't see – I mean, last week he hardly ever came out the field. Even in the analysis right here on DraftKings, it talks about the fact that he was out there. And as long as a player like Larry Fitzgerald is out there consistently, I believe that he's going to score points. They're going to continue to target him. He's going to continue to score points. So Larry Fitzgerald is also another great pick for the wide receiver position. Now, that's pretty much everybody. I mean, I have a full team right now, and I'm looking at them. I don't really like the team as much, but I do believe that you're going to get points. If you add up the points from last week, this lineup would have actually won you probably $100,000. I mean, you're looking at probably close to 200. Let's see how many points this is. Okay, that would be 213.4 points. And let me just tell you right now, if you can score 213.4 points, you're going to score a lot of money. That's just what's going to happen. Now, I don't put a lot of time really looking at how many points a person would have scored last week based upon what they're going to do this week. They're playing different teams. Every team plays a little bit different. However, I do believe that even with these choices, Alex Smith at quarterback, Kareem Hunt at one running back, Ezekiel Elliott at a running back, Jordy Nelson, Larry Fitzgerald, Corey Coleman, Jason Witten, Travis Benjamin, and the Ravens defense, I do still believe that you're going to get in the 170s, 180s with that. And 170s, 180s is going to win you a lot of money. And that's my job. I'm trying to teach you how to win a meal with D. Will. That's where we are for this week. And until next week, we will see you guys. We'll be trying to win some more money. I'll let you know how I do. You can let me know how you do. All you have to do is check me out on Instagram. It's at I Heard D. Will. It's IHEARDWILL at I Heard D. Will. I heard what D. Will had to say, and I went with his picks. I won $1 million. That's what I want to hear. Until next week, we'll see y'all.